Hey World History, welcome to U15-L4, Basics of World War II, Part 2. Your job, you're going to watch this Edpuzzle, answer the questions. Any questions in blue text are going to be questions that I want you to answer directly on the Edpuzzle. And if you have any questions, please let your teacher know. We are here to help you. Learning targets: examine conflicting narratives about the past and identify how these narratives can lead to global conflict. And describe and evaluate different responses to the Holocaust and other genocides and human rights violations. All right, so heads up, today we'll have heavy topics, of course, because we'll be talking about the Holocaust. All right, so let's start off with the Holocaust today. I know you all have learned about the Holocaust before in some capacity. So what is something you remember learning about the Holocaust? So the Holocaust was the systematic mass slaughter of the Jews from the German government and its allies, which is also considered a genocide. So it lasted from January of 1933 until May of 1945, when World War II would end. So this slideshow does not include other categories of peoples that the Nazis hated, including people descending from Africa, people from Romania, people who were Slavic or Balkan or from the Russian region, people with a mental or physical disability, gay people, communists, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Catholics. All right, so in 1942, Hitler began his final solution, which is instead of working Jewish people to death in concentration camps, the German government would kill them just instantly. So this was mass murder at a systematic level. So the final solution included Nazis building extermination camps with gas chambers, such as you see in the picture over here. SS doctors kept strong men and some women alive to work. Women, kids, elderly, and the sick got told to go, quote, take a shower. They were then stripped of their clothes, went to shower, but instead of water coming out of these faucets, it was cyanide gas, and it would kill them within the matter of a minute or so. So did the US know about the mass killing of Jews before 1945? Yes, this wasn't a surprise at the end of the war, where like the Allied troops came in and they're like, oh my gosh, what the heck was happening here? They knew about it beforehand. So by 1942, escaped prisoners alerted governments and media about what was going on. President FDR made empty promises to free the Jews in the concentration camp before the war ends. That doesn't work out super well. So it wasn't until January of 1944 that FDR makes the War Refugee Board, or the WRB, to help Jews get out of Germany and concentration camps. The war ends in May of 1945, and the US is more focused on taking over Germany's government than freeing the Jews from the camps. So according to the National World War II Museum, 6 million Jews were killed, and 5 million prisoner of wars, Romanian Slavs, Jehovah's Witnesses, and other persecuted groups were also killed. So here's a map of the largest concentration camps in Europe. Some of them probably are pretty familiar, especially if you took US history last year. But what probably is more of the scary part is how many other smaller concentration or work camps there were around Europe. So all these little dots represent a concentration or a work camp. So not all of them were like the big ones like we think of like Auschwitz. A lot of them were just these tiny or more smaller little camps that still had devastating effects. All right, so let's talk about the movie that y'all chose. So a couple weeks ago, you voted for what World War I or World War II movie you wanted to watch. You all voted for Life is Beautiful as the winner. Actually, it was the winner by quite a long shot. So who has seen the movie Life is Beautiful before? Yeah, I haven't seen it actually until you guys voted for it. So here's the plot. So when an open-minded Jewish waiter and his son become victims to the Holocaust, he uses a perfect mixture of will, humor, and imagination to protect his son from the dangers around the camp. So this movie came out in 1997. It takes place in northern Italy during World War II. Just kind of a side note, Germany takes over northern Italy in 1944. Originally, it is in Italian, but I have the dubbed version. which some of you are like, really? You chose the English version where like they dub over real people's voices. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work out super well, but when I was watching this movie, I actually didn't think it was half bad. So the audio is in English, although originally it was supposed to be in Italian. Um, I didn't think it was horrible though. It won 3 Oscars, including Best Actor in a Leading Role, Best Director, and Best Writing. All right, let's go through some of the characters. So Guido Orefici, I don't know Italian, I'm sorry. He is the main character. He is a Jewish Italian. He is a waiter turned bookstore owner. His wife is Dora. His son is Gyosu. Anyway, that is his name, and is a very lively and charismatic figure. Dora is Guido's wife and the mother of Gyosu. She is a teacher. She fell in love with Guido when he was a waiter. She actually got engaged to a man before Guido named Amico Rodolfo, who was a stuck-up government official, but she ended up breaking her engagement with Amico Rodolfo in order to be with Guido. It's also important to note that she is not Jewish. And then Gyosu, that is the son of Guido and Dora. He is a young boy who likes to play along with his charismatic father. And then Alessio Orefici is Guido's uncle. Guido works for him as a waiter in Alessio's restaurant at the beginning of the movie. He is also Jewish. And then we have Ferruccio Papini, who is Guido's BFF. He has been supportive of Guido ever since he started working at Uncle Alessio's restaurant. And what to expect. So I broke the movie into 4 chunks. So there are going to be U15, L11, L12, L13, and L14. There are 4 chunks that are about 30 minutes long and 5 questions in each of those chunks that you need to answer. The questions are multiple choice, and I will be grading you on what questions you get right or wrong. Yeah, so I kind of went through some of the characters. I try to like make it as spoil free as possible. So that's why there's not too much written about them. All right, so what questions do you have about the movie? And if you don't have any, that's okay, just type none. All right, so let's go back to talking about the rise of Germany and the start of World War II. So the Third Reich. On November 5th, 1937, Hitler tells his advisors that he's going to take over Austria, which is located right here, and Czechoslovakia, which is located right here. That would be the start of the Third Reich, also known as the German Empire. Hitler wanted more Lebensraum, which meant living space. He promised the German people to conquer space in Russia, as well as Eastern Europe, to have more space for Germans to live. In March of 1938, Germany takes over Austria. The problem is that no allied country, so that includes the UK, France, United States, fights back against Germany taking over Austria. Then we have the Czech crisis. So the Sudetenland is this kind of lighter tan color right here, kind of surrounding Czechoslovakia and Germany and Austria. So it's in the northwest part of Czechoslovakia. There's about 3 million German people that live in this kind of weird strip of land, and Hitler wants that land really badly. So the leaders in Europe call together something called the Munich Conference. So this was in September of 1938. Britain, France, Italy, and Germany all attend this conference. It allowed Hitler to take Austria and the Sudetenland if he promised not to take any other land. Hitler agreed that he'd have no more demands, that he would be satisfied with Austria and Sudetenland. Neville Chamberlain, who was the Prime Minister of Great Britain, thought this agreement was the peace for our time. He thought this was a really big deal. It was going to last. It was going to be great. They were going to avoid war. So, Great Britain's pre-war policy of appeasement. So, Great Britain had a policy of appeasement towards Germany. Great Britain thought that if they gave in to the minor demands of Germany, Germany would be satisfied and maintain peace in Europe. But as we can probably figure out, Great Britain was extremely wrong about that. So betrayal. In March of 1939, Hitler takes all of Czechoslovakia. Britain and France realize Hitler is a big liar and he really doesn't want peace. And they know that Hitler's after Poland next. So Hitler demands Polish port of Danzig, which is right up here in Poland, kind of on the northern edge. Britain promises help to Poland against Hitler if Hitler decides to invade Poland. So there is also this pact called the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact. This was signed in August in 1939. It created a non-aggression pact, so that means no fighting against each other. The name is pretty much how it actually means. And in that pact, Germany and Russia, or the Soviets, whatever you want to call it, Russia, Soviet means the same thing. They decide that they are going to split up Poland in half. Although Poland hasn't even been invaded yet, they still were like, yep, let's just split up Poland in half. And of course, Poland was not invited to any of these talks. It also gave Stalin control of East Poland and the Baltic states. So here is kind of what that would look like on a map. So Russia / the USSR / Soviet Union here is in red. They would take this half of Poland. Germany would take this half of Poland in the gray. So you got to remember though, although they seem to come as an agreement between Germany and the Soviet Union, Stalin and Hitler still hate each other. Stalin hates fascism, which Germany is fascist, and Hitler hates communism, which Russia is communist at this time. So Germany invades Poland. Way back in 1934, Hitler signed a non-aggression pact with Poland. Of course, he breaks it very easily, as he does with many other pacts. Many Germans hated Poland because it was partially created with German territory from the Treaty of Versailles back in World War I. And Germany's invasion on Poland is generally considered to be the act that sparks the beginning of World War II. So Hitler invades Poland in September 1st in 1939. He does a war strategy called Blitzkrieg, which means lightning war. That is where there's attack on the ground, like you see here, with air support from airplanes above. This is the strategy that allowed Germany to have military success at the beginning of World War II. Poland quickly surrenders on September 27th, 1939. So Germany invades Poland. Great Britain and France are like, WTF, Germany. Why did you do that, buddy? So on September 3rd of 1939, Great Britain and France declare war on Germany. So another really good question is, how did Germany, Japan, and Italy become allies? So we talked about Germany and Italy kind of being friends beforehand, but how does Japan even fit into all of this? Like, they're way out over in Asia. We will find out next time in our next lesson. All right, so let's wrap this up for today. We talked about the Holocaust, Final Solution, Third Reich, Life is Beautiful, which is the movie, Lebensraum, Munich Conference, Appeasement, Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, and Blitzkrieg. Next up, you're going to watch U15-L5, World War II, Japan Part 1 Edpuzzle, which is another one of mine. If you have questions, comments, or want to learn more, please do let your teacher know. We are here to help you. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.